Libra, beloved seeker of harmony, have you felt lately like something unseen is calling you, pulling you toward a shift you can't yet explain? This isn't coincidence. This is divine orchestration. And today's message isn't just a horoscope reading. It's a cosmic mirror reflecting something deep within you that's ready to awaken. Because Libra, on August 25th, the universe is preparing to gift you something unimaginable. A sacred surprise is aligning. And this video will show you exactly how to receive it. But let me ask you this. What unspoken desire has been resting quietly in your heart? What secret longing have you been too graceful or too cautious to say out loud? Today, we go there. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where we don't just read cards, we listen to the soul. And if this video found you, it's because you are meant to hear what's coming next. I know you've been carrying so much, Libra. The weight of keeping peace. The silent exhaustion of being the emotional anchor. The constant dance between understanding others and quietly ignoring your own needs. But on the 25th, something sacred shifts. And it begins not with fireworks but with a whisper. A whisper that says, you no longer have to earn love by shrinking yourself. We're entering a divine moment in time where your value is no longer tied to how much you sacrifice, but how much you remember who you truly are. Let's take this journey together. And if you're already feeling that inner recognition, that quiet knowing that this message was meant for you, pause for a moment. I invite you to confirm your cosmic alignment by leaving a comment below with the words, I am ready for what the universe has prepared for me. Your comment is more than interaction, it's an affirmation. A declaration. And a signal to the universe that you are not watching this out of curiosity, but because your soul is ready. Now, before we dive deeper into this sacred message, let me take a breath and say this, thank you. Truly. Every single like, comment, share, and subscription you offer doesn't just support this channel, it nourishes a living, breathing spiritual community. Your presence here, right now, is not just noticed. It's cherished. And as someone who's walked this path tough, holding it all together while wondering when the breakthrough would come, I want to tell you this, stay with me until the end. What we're about to unlock together is far more than insight. It's initiation. Because the truth is, God doesn't always shake the earth when He moves. Sometimes, He simply opens a door. And those who are listening walk through it. So tell me, Libra, what led you here today? What decision, small or bold, aligned the timing just right? Because if you're here, you are being guided. And by the end of this message, you'll know exactly what that guidance is pointing to. Let's begin. Sometimes the most powerful moments in life arrive not with thunder, but with stillness. And Libra, this stillness you've been feeling lately, this deep, unshakable sense that something is shifting, is not emptiness. It's invitation. You are not being abandoned by the universe, you are being summoned by it. Quietly, intentionally, and with love. And this call is not coming from the outside, but from deep within you. So many Libras carry the sacred role of harmonizer. You smooth out the chaos for others, you step back so someone else can step forward, and you often wear a calm face even when your heart feels stormy. It's not because you're weak. It's because you understand energy. You've always felt that peace matters. But here's the question I'm gently asking you now, in your beautiful effort to maintain balance. Have you forgotten to include yourself in that harmony? The universe doesn't demand perfection from you. It invites your presence. And what you're experiencing now, this inner tug, this exhaustion that doesn't quite come from your body, but from your soul, is the gentle whisper of your deeper self saying, it's time. Time to be seen. Time to stop dimming your light in the name of diplomacy. Time to remember that you are not just a peacekeeper, you are a divine creator. In tarot, when the magician appears, it's rarely just a symbol of magic or manifestation. It is a mirror. It reflects your innate power, the ability to transform energy into form, to shift unseen desires into tangible reality. And it's appearing now to remind you, what you think you need to wait for, you already carry. This surprise the universe is preparing? It's not something being delivered from the outside. It's something already awakening within you. This is where we can gently learn from ancient truths, not for dogma, but for nourishment. There's a sacred rhythm in the human journey, moments of planting, waiting, breaking, and finally revealing. And it's in that reveal that miracles often unfold. Not with spectacle, but with certainty. In quiet corners of your life, perhaps in a late-night conversation, a journal entry, a whispered prayer, you've been asking for more. And the universe, Libra, is listening. In modern life, we're taught to push, to pursue, to overperform. But in spiritual truth, breakthroughs often happen the moment we pause. The moment we let go of needing to prove, and instead choose to be present with what already is. For you, that breakthrough begins with acknowledging how far you've come while carrying what wasn't yours. The pressure to hold everyone together. The unspoken expectation to be the one who always understands. No more. You are not losing yourself, you are returning to yourself. And that, Libra, is the most sacred surprise of all. So I'll ask you now, if you've been sensing that the universe is trying to get your attention, if you've been feeling like the air is charged but quiet, like something is coming, to dismiss it. Don't rush past it. Lean in. You don't need a loud sign. You don't need anyone else's permission. You only need the stillness of this moment to know. The shift has already begun. And you are ready. Let your comment below be your commitment, a small yet powerful act that says, I am no longer hiding in the name of peace. Because this is not about conflict. It's about clarity. And clarity, Libra, is the most divine power you hold. What if the surprise you've been waiting for isn't something that will arrive wrapped in signs or delivered by someone else, but rather, a change in the way you see yourself? Libra, when we talk about surprise, in the spiritual or energetic sense, we often imagine it as an event, something external, a message, a meeting, an outcome. But in truth, the most profound surprises are shifts in perception. The kind that quietly transform your world without altering a single circumstance, because what's changed is you. This is where the deeper invitation lies. The shift you feel now isn't about chasing something new, but finally allowing yourself to see through a different lens. One that isn't filtered by fear, obligation, or the stories of who you were told to be. One that is anchored in clarity, not performance, and in authenticity, not approval. The magician appears again here, not as a promise of instant manifestation, but as a reminder, the magic you seek is not out there. It's not waiting to be unlocked by someone else's permission or aligned by a perfect circumstance. It is already inside you, waiting for your conscious yes. The number 1, associated with the magician in numerology, reminds us of initiation, of beginnings, of the moment when everything changes, not because the world bends in your favor, but because you finally stop bending away from your truth. And here's the truth: nothing can be given to someone who still believes they're not allowed to receive. So the universe may bring opportunity after opportunity to your door, but until your mind shifts, until you recognize yourself as worthy, ready, and already chosen, you won't see the gift, even when it's in your hands. Sometimes this moment of awareness begins with something as simple as a question. One that cuts through the mental noise and returns you to yourself. Try this. Write down the sentence, "Who have I been waiting for to give me permission to shine?" Write it in your journal, or on paper you can fold, hold, or even burn as part of a quiet releasing ritual. Watch what surfaces. You may be surprised by the answer. Maybe it's a parent, a partner, an institution. Maybe it's no one and you've simply forgotten that you were always free to begin. The beauty of this moment, Libra, is that you don't have to fight to prove anything. You don't have to chase. The shift begins the moment you stop outsourcing your worth to people who never held the blueprint to your soul in the first place. You already came with that map. You just haven't read it in a while. In the spiritual psychology of energy work, this inner activation, the one triggered by a change in perspective, creates ripple effects through your entire auric field. Thoughts reorganize. Decisions become clearer. People respond differently. Not because they've changed, but because you have. And that, right there, is the true miracle, not divine intervention, but divine remembrance. So as we move forward, carry this truth with you gently. Your life begins to shift when you shift the way you look at yourself. That's the secret. That's the surprise. And it's not coming from the outside. It's coming from the courage to finally see yourself clearly and love what you see. How many times have you made yourself smaller just to keep the peace? Libra, it's such a natural instinct for you to create balance, to soften tension, to ensure no one feels discomfort. And while that grace is your gift, it can also become your invisible burden. Because when you're constantly adjusting yourself to support others, there comes a point where the scale tips out of balance, not because of them, but because you never gave yourself permission to receive in return. The Six of Pentacles enters here not as a mere symbol of charity or generosity, but as a deeper reminder of energetic reciprocity. In astrology and energetic healing, we understand that giving and receiving must flow in a rhythm like breath. You inhale, you exhale. You pour out, but you must also allow yourself to be filled. And yet, for many Libras, receiving can feel unnatural, almost selfish. It's as though somewhere along the way, you internalize the belief that your role was to give without needing anything back. But that's not balance, that's depletion masked as virtue. In my years guiding people through soul alignment, I've witnessed this pattern more times than I can count. Those who give the most often carry the most silent weariness. They don't want to appear needy, or worse, ungrateful. So they say, "I'm fine," even when their heart longs to be held. They support everyone else's dreams but hesitate to voice their own. If that feels like you, I want to gently ask, when was the last time you allowed yourself to fully receive? Not just compliments or praise, but rest, support, emotional nourishment, or even help without guilt. There's a universal law at play here, and it's reflected in both energy work and ancient wisdom. You attract what you allow. You manifest not just what you desire but what you believe you are allowed to welcome in. So today, I invite you to explore this in a quiet, personal way. Take a pen and paper, and write down 3 things you've always wanted someone to do for you. Maybe it's listening without interruption. Maybe it's showing up without being asked. Maybe it's offering emotional encouragement, or giving you space to just be. Once you have those 3, sit with the question, have I ever let myself receive these things, or have I just been waiting for someone to guess that I need them? The balance you're being called to restore isn't transactional, it's vibrational. When you shift your energy to include yourself in the circle of care, your outer world begins to adjust in response. Your relationships grow more honest. Your body relaxes. Your emotions feel lighter. And speaking of your body, it always knows. If you've been feeling tension in your shoulders, headaches, heaviness in the chest, or even swelling in your joints, pay attention. These may not just be physical symptoms. They could be energy signals, emotions that weren't expressed, needs that weren't met, truths that were swallowed instead of spoken. The body often speaks when the soul has been silenced. So as we move deeper into this reading, I want you to hold one gentle truth in your heart. You are not selfish for needing care. You are not weak for needing to rest. You are not less spiritual because you long for support. You are human, and part of being whole is knowing when to lean back and let yourself be held. This journey you're on is not about proving your worth. It's about remembering it. And sometimes, the most healing thing you can do is simply say, yes, I will receive. Not from ego, but from self-love. And Libra, that is the balance your soul has been waiting for. Not every connection is meant to challenge you. Some are meant to soften you. Libra, love for you has often been tangled in the need to appear graceful, composed, almost perfect. And yet, the energy rising now invites you to experience something profoundly different, a connection that doesn't ask you to perform, but simply to be. This isn't about fantasy or fleeting romance. It's about resonance. The Lover's card speaks here not of illusion but of a sacred alignment, one that calls your walls to lower not because you're weak, but because you finally feel safe. There are rare moments in life when we meet someone who silences the noise inside us, not with words, but with presence. With them, you don't need to explain why you're quiet, why you need space, or why a certain song brings tears to your eyes. Their energy meets yours without pushing, without pressure. That is the kind of love the universe is guiding you toward now, not one that demands, but one that listens. Not one that corrects, but one that reflects your true essence back to you. And the truth is, this begins the moment you stop trying to be lovable, and simply allow yourself to be loved. When you live authentically, you broadcast a frequency. And that frequency calls in what matches you. This is the foundation of the law of attraction. What you radiate is what you magnetize. So many people search endlessly for a love that sees them, but few dare to first be seen without armor. That's your invitation now to let your heart speak in its natural tone, to show up exactly as you are, not as a polished version of who you think they want. If you're in a relationship, this may be the time to voice a truth you've kept quiet about. Not to create conflict, but to create closeness. Often, it's the most vulnerable truths that open the most beautiful doors. And if you're single, this isn't a message about waiting for someone to appear and complete you. It's about understanding that your presence, your full, honest, radiant presence is the most magnetic thing you can offer the world. Sometimes we fear that showing too much of ourselves will drive people away. But the ones meant for you will come closer when you stop pretending. They won't flinch at your depth. They'll meet you there. There's a quiet knowing that lives in sacred love, one that doesn't need to be justified or made sense of. You'll know it by the way your nervous system relaxes around them. You'll know it by how time feels different. And if you haven't felt it yet, don't rush. The universe has a way of placing these connections in your path when your heart is soft enough to receive, and your boundaries are wise enough to protect. Let this be a season where you stop performing and start allowing. Where you honor your own emotions enough to let someone else hold space for them, too. And if that feels scary, it's okay. The strongest love doesn't arrive when you're completely ready. It arrives when you're honest enough to admit you're not and brave enough to lean in anyway. You were never meant to love in pieces. You were made to love in truth. And when you return to that truth, love doesn't just find you. It remembers you. And that, Libra, is a homecoming your soul has been preparing for all along. Some moments in life are not about waiting theory, about deciding. Libra, if you've made it this far in the journey, then you already feel it. Something bigger is turning beneath the surface of your life. The wheel of fortune appears now not as a random twist of fate, but as a spiritual checkpoint. A crossroads. It tells us, yes, your season is changing, but what it becomes depends on whether you're willing to release what no longer belongs to you. Transformation isn't just about adding new dreams, it's about shedding old beliefs. Think of it like tuning an instrument. If you want your energy to resonate clearly with what you're meant to call in, you can't keep playing the same out-of-tune chords of self-doubt. The universe isn't punishing you for holding on to them. It's simply waiting for you to recognize that you're ready to let them go. In the language of energy, what you believe becomes the vibration you broadcast. And what you broadcast, you attract. So when you hold on to limiting thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or I always have to do it all alone, you inadvertently keep inviting experiences that reinforce those very ideas. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. And awareness is the birthplace of choice. If you're feeling stuck right now, you're not broken. You're being invited to update the internal narrative that's been driving your life. Sometimes, our greatest blocks aren't outside circumstances, theory, invisible contracts we've signed with fear. Contracts like, I must prove myself to be loved, or, I'm only valuable when I'm useful to others. You didn't create these beliefs to harm yourself. You adopted them to survive. But survival is not the same as living. One of the most powerful practices I've seen, both in my own healing and in the journeys of those I've guided, is to take pen to paper and write down 3 beliefs that feel heavy. Beliefs you may have inherited, absorbed, or repeated so often they've disguised themselves as truth. And then challenge them. Question their origin. Ask if they belong in the next chapter of your life. You can even ritualize it. Burn the paper, bury it in soil, or simply tear it into pieces. It's not the action, it's the intention behind it that realigns your vibration. When I think about the way blessings unfold, I'm reminded of countless moments where someone's breakthrough came right after they released the grip on who they thought they had to be. I remember one woman who carried shame about her voice. She believed it was too loud, too emotional, too much. For years, she stayed quiet. But one day, she started singing again. Not because someone told her to, but because she gave herself permission. And within weeks, the opportunity she had prayed for showed up at her door. It didn't happen because the world changed. It happened because she did. Right now, you are being invited to do the same. You don't need to control every outcome. You only need to choose differently. Choose faith over fear. Choose trust over tension. Choose yourself not in ego, but in energetic truth. Colors can be powerful allies here. Surround yourself with pale green for healing. Let soft lavender open your intuitive insight. And wear a touch of gold to remember your divine confidence. These are not superstitions, they are energetic anchors, reminders to your body and mind that you are entering a new frequency. And above all, speak this aloud not just as affirmation, but as activation. I am the author of my destiny. Because you are. And this wheel? It turns in your favor the moment you do. And now, dear Libra, take a breath. Look at how far you've come. From the quiet exhaustion of holding everything together, to the realization that you never had to carry it alone. From keeping peace for others, to finally including yourself in the equation. From living behind a carefully constructed mask, to daring to let love in, just as you are. From questioning your worth, to remembering that you were always the miracle you were waiting for. This is not the end of a video. It's the beginning of a shift. You don't have to wait for a divine sign, because sometimes the most sacred signal is your own decision to return to your truth. And truthfully, you've always had the power to rewrite your story gently, consciously, and without apology. The energy of the Emperor now surrounds you not with the need to control but with the invitation to stand tall in quiet authority. Not to force outcomes, but to trust your presence. Not to beg for validation, but to embody the calm power of someone who knows they are worthy. So I ask you now, as one soul to another, what would happen if, for the next 3 days, you stopped resisting the gifts life wants to offer you? What if you let yourself say yes not to struggle but to softness? Not to perfection but to permission? Take a moment, right after this video ends, to write down one thing you will allow yourself to receive over the next 3 days. It can be simple. Peace. Rest. Support. Laughter. An opportunity. A deeper connection. Whatever it is, honor it. Then, if you feel called, leave a comment below and say, I welcome my divine surprise with an open heart. Not from a but for you. For the part of you that's been waiting for that declaration. And as always, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for listening not just with your ears but with your soul. Your presence here fuels this sacred space. Every like, every comment, every subscribe you gift to this channel doesn't just support a video, it builds a community of awakening hearts. You are part of that light now. And trust me, you are not alone. We're walking this path together. So if today's message touched something deep inside you, please like this video, subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and share it with someone who might be silently waiting for hope. The magic isn't just in the cards. It's in you. And when you choose to believe you're worthy of what's unfolding, heaven takes care of the rest. Stay open. Stay present. And always remember, you are not here to chase miracles. You are here to realize that you are the miracle.